Welcome to the UK Travel Planning Podcast. Your host is the founder of the UK Travel Planning website, Tracy Collins. In this podcast, Tracy shares destination guides, travel tips, and itinerary ideas, as well as interviews with a variety of guests who share their knowledge and experience of UK travel to help you plan your perfect UK vacation. Join us as we explore the UK from cosmopolitan cities to quaint villages, from historic castles to beautiful islands, and from the picturesque countryside to seaside towns.
Hello and welcome to episode 107 of the UK Travel Planning Podcast. In this episode, I chat with Lisa Benjamin of GoCotswold, an award-winning company offering fun, friendly, small group tours of the Cotswolds. We are thrilled to announce GoCotswolds as one of our most recent partners. We only work with and recommend the best, and after reading so many fabulous reviews of their tours by members of our private UK and London travel planning Facebook group, we knew they were the perfect fit for us. Prepare to be inspired, and I know after this episode, you'll be adding a tour with GoCotswolds to your itinerary. Stay tuned until the end for an exclusive discount code from Lisa, especially for our UK travel planning community. So without further ado, let's hear from Lisa.
Yeah, I'm Lisa Benjamin. I'm one half of the husband and wife team that runs GoCotswolds. We are a family-run, small guided tour company. We're based just outside of the Cotswolds in Stratford-on-Avon, which in itself is a well-known destination for being the birthplace and burial place of William Shakespeare. So lots of visitors come to our town, and we set up GoCotswolds back in 2014. It's our 10th anniversary this year. The original idea with GoCotswolds was to make use of all these visitors coming to Stratford-upon-Avon and show them the Cotswolds as well, which is actually very, very close by. And not many people seem to realise that the Cotswolds is basically right next door to Stratford-upon-Avon. So we thought we would give people a reason to stay longer in Stratford and take them out on day trips into the Cotswolds as well. And it seems to have worked because we're still here after 10 years and after everything that the pandemic threw at us as well. And we're actually thriving, dare I say, at the moment. So, it seems to have worked. GoCotswolds was started by my husband, Tom, back in 2014, as I said. We met travelling. We are both very keen travellers. And Tom and I met each other in a backpackers hostel in Buenos Aires in Argentina, as you do.
I love that. I absolutely love that, Lisa.
It's a better story than we met in the pub. So we met each other. We've actually only crossed paths for about 4 or 5 days, but we got on like a house on fire, kept in touch while we both travelled our separate directions. And then, it just so happened when I came home, about 9 months after meeting Tom, Tom was working in Kent, which is where I'm from originally. And so we met up, and the rest, as they say, is history. So that's how we met and got together. GoCotswolds was started a few years after that. Basically, Tom had a job that he hated. I think this happens to quite a lot of people. You get into a sort of, you get stuck in a rut, and you kind of don't like what you're doing, but can't really see any way out. And then I was also in a very similar position, unfortunately. I was working for someone that was horrible, let's put it nicely. So we thought, when in doubt, let's go travelling. So we both quit our jobs and we travelled around Southern Africa for a few months, trying to find ourselves, in inverted commas, or trying to, just have a bit of a break and think about what it is we really wanted to do. And so when we came back from that trip, Tom basically started GoCotswolds. I took a separate career path for a little while, but eventually all paths led back to the Cotswolds, and now we're both working on the business. And
that's fantastic. And it's a small family-run business, which is, again, I love partnering with small and supporting you guys, because I know obviously with the pandemic, it was a few difficult years. So kind of luckily tourism is booming again, and we're back on track, and we've got lots of visitors coming to the UK and wanting to explore the Cotswolds, which is fantastic. So I love the Cotswolds. My parents don't live very far away from Stratford-upon-Avon.
Oh, okay.
So what is it about the Cotswolds? Because, I mean, we kind of talk about quintessential England. So that's how I would describe it. That's a bit cliche, I guess. But what is it about the Cotswolds, do you think, that just makes it so special?
The Cotswolds is just absolutely beautiful. And it's the England that I think you see in the movies. It's like the Bridget Jones and the Holiday and those kind of very cute, quaint, to use an Americanism, quaint villages that just look like, pictures on chocolate boxes. It's the England, I think, that lots of international visitors think we all live this way in these beautiful little thatched cottages and lovely Cotswold stone cottages. We don't. But this particular area...
If only I could afford to do that, Lisa, I have to say.
Exactly that, yeah. You need very deep pockets to live in the Cotswolds. But yeah, it's just gorgeous. It's an area of outstanding natural beauty is an official designation. So it's kind of one level down from a national park. And that means that the area is protected in terms of development and building works. You can't build anything new unless it's built in Cotswold stone. So everything looks very uniform and very connected. It's just lovely. It's very, very rural area as well. And I think part of its appeal is that it's also fairly close to London. It's very accessible as a day trip from London or as a short break from London. There are other countryside areas, the Lake District, Peak District, far north of Scotland and things like that. But the Cotswolds is very, very accessible. So I think that's also part of its appeal.
It's also quite a large area, because that's something that when I talk about the Cotswolds with people, is I think that often it's kind of this kind of vision of I'm going to the Cotswolds as in it's one little town or one couple of little towns and villages and that's it. But it's not, is it? It's a huge area.
Yeah, it covers 800 square miles. It's a big area. In fact, I mentioned it's one level down from a national park. Of all the areas of outstanding natural beauty and national parks, the Cotswolds is the second largest. So it covers a massive area. And I think a lot of people don't realise that. We quite often get inquiries from our potential guests saying, we want to go to Cotswold, thinking that it is one village, that it's this photograph that they've seen in a guidebook or a magazine or something or on Instagram, and they want to go there. I was like, well, the Cotswolds is huge. You could travel around for days and days and days and still not see everything. But the one thing that is uniform is that all the places in the Cotswolds are absolutely beautiful. So doesn't matter where you go, it's always going to be lovely.
Totally. It is. We try to stay there every time. Even though my parents are in Stratford, I still go and try and find somewhere to go and stay and have a few days and explore with the car and just go. I have to say, I tend to always go to the same places. I need to go more to the southern parts of the Cotswolds, but I kind of I love Stowe and Bibury and that kind of area, Broadway. I'm a total English garden lover, so Kiftsgate and Hidcote. I could honestly spend days in there in the summer just explore. And I've spent whole days there before. Just
it's one of my favourite. Yeah.
So should we talk about the different tours that you guys offer? Because I think that's listeners will be kind of going, oh, right, okay, I want to book. I want to go on a Go Cotswolds tour. So let's tell everybody what sort of tours there are. I know you've got kind of 4 that I'd like to cover, but I know that you've got your 2 really most popular ones. And I love the fact that you call it Cotswolds in a day. Because I was going to say you can't do Cotswolds in a day. So let's start with that one, Lisa.
Yeah, so we have a tour called Cotswolds in a Day, which is slightly tongue-in-cheek. As I just mentioned, the Cotswolds is over 800 square miles. So you can't see all of the Cotswolds in a day. But the aim with this tour, this is our kind of original tour. This is the tour we've run since 2014. So it's our most popular, almost by virtue of the fact that it's the longest running tour. But the aim of this tour was to give our visitors an overview of the Cotswolds. So by the end of the tour, you'll have a really great idea of what the Cotswolds is all about. We will show you on this tour some of the most popular spots. So I would include Bibury and Bourton-on-the-Water in those popular hotspots. But we'll also take you to some other slightly less well-known destinations, which we think are absolutely beautiful, and they are. And often the places that people have never heard of turn out to be our guests' favourites. To be honest, Bourton-on-the-Water and Bibury, they're a bit like Marmite. They are, no doubt about it, absolutely beautiful. But because they're so beautiful, they also get completely overrun with tourists. And there's a lot of issues going on, particularly in Bourton-on-the-Water at the moment. They're trying to ban coaches from entering the village. Lots of controversy between tourism and the locals. So although Bourton on the Water is no doubt absolutely stunning, and I love it, I think it is a really great place, especially if you've got kids. There's lots of family friendly activities you can do there. It does get very, very busy in the summer. In the winter,
it is lovely. It is. Yeah. I have to like totally agree with you there, because we've stayed there. We tended to stay there in the winter when it's still busy. Even in January, it's still busy. But we stayed there, I think, June last year, and we found, especially during the day, it was crazy. So we would go out during the day and then come back later on, sort of 5 or 6-ish, when a lot of people had left. I mean, it was still busy. I would say it was still busy. And Barbury, I love Barbury. There's just something about Arlington Road that I absolutely adore it. But I totally understand. And actually, it was the end of January. I went to stay in Bedford with one of my closest friends. We couldn't get parked in Barbury in January. So wow. I hate to think, I know last year we went about 7:00 at night and managed to get parked. So I know that's been a huge issue, and there's been a lot in the media about the issues about too many tourists visit the cars, I don't know. So it's a difficult one, isn't it, to manage that?
Yeah, because on the one hand, we would actually rather not go to Bourton on the Water because it's so busy. But on the other hand, we wouldn't make any money. We wouldn't sell any tours if we weren't offering the places that people have heard of and they want to go to. So we often say, like, on our tours, that going to the Cotswolds and not going to Bourton on the Water is like going to Paris and not seeing the Eiffel Tower. But that's not to say that you could have a wonderful holiday in Paris without seeing the Eiffel Tower. But that's not going to sell tickets on a tour, So it's a really difficult issue. We include Bourton on the Water on our Cotswolds in a day tour, almost to show, like, we include Bourton on the Water on our Cotswolds in a day tour because we want people to see what it's like and compare that with some of the other more beautiful and quieter places that we love and we think are more genuinely Cotswolds as well. Yeah, it's a really difficult one, but I don't want to dissuade people from coming to the Cotswolds. But yeah, that certain places do get very busy. I would say that certain places do get very busy in the summer. At other times of the year, they can be absolutely dead. And that makes for excellent photographs with no people in them. But yeah, at certain times of the year, particularly sunny holiday weekends, Bourton on the Water is busy. But as well as that, on our Cotswolds in a day tour, we'll take you to Stow on the Wold, which is a lovely little market town. It's got a really historic and very famous church door that some of our guests may have seen on Instagram. It's a very Instagrammable door, rumoured to be the inspiration for J.R.R. Tolkien's The Doors of Durin in the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
I think there may be a number of photos of me standing at that door. Every time I go to Stow, I have a photo at that door. It has to be done.
It has to be done, yeah, exactly. And where else do we go on that tour? We also take you to Chipping Campden. Now, Chipping Campden is my hands down favourite place in the Cotswolds. I make no mistake about it. I love it. It's a beautiful town, not a village, it's a town. And it's gorgeous. It's absolutely full of history. It's got ancient buildings everywhere you look. It's got some thatched cottages that are to die for. And it's lovely. But what I like most about Chipping Campden is it's a very authentic Cotswolds town. People live there, people work there, people do their shopping there. It's not a touristy town. So I absolutely love that. We also go to another little village called Snows Hill, which is glorious. It's only very tiny. You can walk around it in about 5-10 minutes, but it is beautiful. So our Cotswolds in a day tour will show you a mixture of the good and the bad and the ugly, really. The beautiful little villages that no one's ever heard of, the authentic Cotswolds towns that are great for shopping and just being a part of everyday life. And we'll show you the popular places as well, because I think you have to have that balance.
Hi, it's Tracy just popping in to share some exciting news. Our UK itinerary consultation service is now open for limited bookings. Whether you need help with the general UK itinerary, UK train travel or a London focus plan, we've got you covered. Benefit from personalised advice to make your trip seamless and memorable. So visit our website to learn more and book your consultation with myself and Doug today. Don't miss out on this opportunity to perfect your travel plans with our expert guidance. Yeah, no, absolutely agree. And then you can combine that. So you could do that on your first day, and then you can combine this with the second tour that you offer, that we want to talk about, which is your secret Cotswold.
Absolutely, yes. So Secret Cotswolds, we've been really pleased how well this has gone down so far. We actually only launched this tour back in March this year because we felt that we needed another tour that complements this Cotswolds in a Day tour. And the Secret Cotswolds tour, it's our guides absolutely love it. It's their favourite tour to do because it gets you off the beaten track. It does take you to a couple of popular villages because, again, we still need to sell tickets. So we'll take you to Broadway and to Burford, which are more popular, and also good places to get lunch as well. But the focus of this tour is on the secret. They're not really secret, obviously, but, the lesser known locations in the Cotswolds. So we visit an ancient stone circle. It's by no means nothing like Stonehenge, but it's actually older than Stonehenge, which is kind of cool. And we also go to a place called Stanton, which is just glorious. There's, again, fabulous thatched cottages there. And there's a riding school really close by. So the looks on our guests' faces, people from other countries that come to Stanton, they're like, they've fallen into a dream of England. It's like the beautiful cottages, and then you've got these horses riding through the village, and then you've got people hiking through the village as well because it's on the Cotswolds Way. It's just like a little snapshot of what everyone dreams of England being like. It's absolutely stunning. And then we also go to another little village called Guyting Power, which I'm almost reluctant to talk about because it's so lovely. I don't want everyone to flood there and for it to become the next Bourton on the Water. But it's absolutely wonderful. It's just got so much history. It goes back to like Saxon times. There's a Saxon burial chamber just plonked in a field. It's so, you wouldn't imagine it to be there. There's a really great community there. You actually have to have a connection to Guyting Power to live in Guyting Power. So it's very much a village for local people. It's not full of Airbnbs like many of the other Cotswold villages. It is an actual lived-in village. It's only about 300 people that live there, but it's so genuine and so authentic. There's a fabulous coffee shop. There's a little delicatessen where they sell reportedly David Beckham's favourite sausage rolls. So that's always a winner with our tour guests. And it's just wonderful. I absolutely love it. So I can't talk enough about it. But no one's ever heard of Guyting Power. So no one's going to book a tour if that was the only place we went to. If we only went to places that no one's ever heard of, then no one would book it, sadly. But I think people need to take a risk and get out of those hotspots.
I think that's a great combination, though, having the two. So you got your Cotswolds in a day. So you do some of the most popular places and some of the kind of lesser known but equally beautiful places, and then the secret Cotswolds to build on that the next day. So that's great. So I think that's the way to go if you're staying in the Cotswolds. Definitely, consider taking both of them. That sounds brilliant for me. Now I know also because we often have people contact us who are considering doing the Cotswold Way and doing that walk. And I know that you offer a Cotswold Walks and Villages tour. So, and that's only part of the year that you do that one, I think.
Yeah. So the Walks and Villages tour kind of came out of lockdown, actually. We wanted to do a tour that was a bit more outside based. Not that you're stuck on a minibus all day on our tours at all. That's not the case. But we wanted a kind of a more active outdoor tour that would get people outside so people weren't kind of confined in the minibus and breathing COVID all over each other. So we started this tour and we ran it from May to September when, in theory, the weather is better and the paths are less muddy. And the idea of this one was to get people out of the minibus and onto the footpaths. My husband and I, we're very active people. We love walking and running. And we wanted to do a tour that reflected us as well. But also, we know that with our tours, because they're small groups, they're not private tours, the small group aspect is great for people that are perhaps less confident with going out for a walk, people that maybe have never walked on public footpaths before, because public footpaths are quite an anathema, is that the right word? They don't exist in other countries. We're so fortunate in this country to have these rights of way and public access. And if you're not used to that, it can be quite daunting to get the Ordnance Survey map out and plot your route, and it can be quite difficult. So we kind of came up with this tour, which is not the hardcore hiking tour. You don't need any walking poles or specialist equipment or anything, but it just gives an experience of what it's like to be in the English countryside, with the comfort and knowledge of an expert guide to lead you through the glorious countryside so you don't get lost, which is nice. There are plenty of other companies out there that do specialist walking tours that concentrate on the Cotswold Way and other things like that. So we didn't want to tread on their toes, but this is kind of an entry-level walking tour, if you like. So you don't need to be super fit. You don't need to be super experienced or have all the gear. You just need to have a bit of a moderate level of fitness, be able to walk about a mile or two. It's a brilliant tour. I love it. I love the fact that you can visit different villages on this tour, but you're approaching it in a completely different way because you're approaching it from across the fields and you're going over the stiles and over the dry stone walls and stuff. You're not coming at it from the road, which is it gives you a really nice different perspective.
Yeah, no, that sounds really good. I have to say, I like the sound of doing that because that's not something, I'm not a great walker anywhere, I have to say, but that appeals to me because again, I'm not, even though I'm British, I haven't done a lot of walking, a lot of hiking. So I would get lost. I would definitely get lost. So following somebody would work really well for me. And also getting that different perspective of kind of walking through the fields in the English countryside. You know, that sounds like a lot of fun to me as well. And in the beautiful Cotswolds. So what more could you want, really? That's brilliant. And I know, so the fourth tour I'm going to cover, I think this is a new one that you've introduced. Is it this year?
Yeah, the Bath and Stonehenge tour. It's kind of an experiment at the moment. We get lots and lots of requests from our people that visit our website and send us emails for tours of Bath or to Bath. And for a long time, we didn't even consider it. Bath is about 2 hours away from where we're based. And there are companies in Bath that do tours of the Cotswolds. But we just got so many inquiries. Please, can we go to Bath? Can you do a tour to Bath? We thought, okay, we're going to do a tour to Bath.
Well, I think so as well, because you guys are based in the north part of the Cotswolds. So if you're staying up where you guys are, it kind of makes sense that you can jump on a tour with you, go and see Bath and Stonehenge, and then go back up to Morton or Stowe or Stratford. So you're back up in the North Cotswolds rather than have to try and find your way down there yourself. So it's an easy way to add on.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was part of the reason we launched this tour as well. As another reason to stay longer in our part of the world, in Stratford-upon-Avon and the Cotswolds. Lots of people do day tours to Bath and Stonehenge from London. It's actually about the same distance, maybe even slightly quicker, to take a tour of Bath and Stonehenge from Stratford-upon-Avon or Morton in Marsh, where we do our tours. And you get to travel through the Cotswolds on the way. You're not travelling along busy motorways and getting stuck in London traffic. The A303 down to Stonehenge is like notoriously awful for traffic. It's basically a single carriageway with and number of people that get stuck in that traffic, and it really slows down when you go past Stonehenge because everyone's gawping at Stonehenge. But we approach it from a completely different way. You're travelling through the Cotswolds from the North Cotswolds all the way through to the Southern Cotswolds to Bath and Stonehenge. So you're coming at it again from a different perspective. And it's another reason for people to stay longer in the Cotswolds rather than having to do all these massive day trips from London or hopping about the country, doing different trips to different places. You can stay in one place and do several trips. And it doesn't have to be London.
So why not base yourself in the Cotswolds? So let's talk logistics, Lisa, then. So if you're going to book, so departure points, I think that's important so that people know where to stay or where they need to get to pick up a tour. Let's talk about like how many people do you have on a tour? I know it's a small group tour, so that's great. And a little bit about tour guides. So a little bit kind of the logistics and a little bit about kind of who goes out with you on tour would be really good.
Sure. So, as I said, we're based in Stratford-on-Avon, just slightly to the north of the Cotswolds. So we have a pickup point there in the middle of Stratford. There's like a coach terminal that we pick up from. And then once we pick passengers up from there, we drive to Morton in Marsh train station, which is just inside the Cotswolds. And we pick up people from there as well. So the two pickup points are chosen that way. The Stratford pickup, because we live there, so it's very easy for us to pick up people. People are staying in Stratford-upon-Avon for the Shakespeare and all the Tudor history of Stratford, so we have people to collect there. Then we didn't used to do this originally, but after a couple of years we added the Morton in Marsh pickup point on, because Morton in Marsh is one of the very few Cotswold towns with a train station, and even better than that, it has a train line that goes direct from London and Oxford to Morton in Marsh. So lots of our customers, lots of our tour guests will take the train from London or from Oxford for a day trip. So that makes it really, really accessible. Morton Marsh is also a really nice place to stay. There's a few hotels there as well. So it gives lots of options for if you want to stay in Oxford, you can just take the train. It takes 30 minutes, that's all, to get to Morton Marsh. And then you've got Oxford on your doorstep and Blenheim Palace and the rest of the Cotswolds down south. But yeah, it's nice and easy for people to get to us.
Perfect. And then how many people do you have on your tours maximum? What's your kind of numbers?
So we have 17-seater minibuses, so we can carry 16 passengers plus the driver guide. It's really nice. We're actually one of the only companies in and around the Cotswolds that has these slightly larger vehicles. Most tour companies in the Cotswolds only offer private tours in sort of standard size cars, like 4 to 8 seater cars. We did things a little bit differently, and we went and got the minibus license. It's a bit harder to get a minibus license than it is to get a private hire license, which is, I think, why most companies do the private tours only. But we put in that little bit of extra effort to get the minibus licenses because we wanted to make the tours affordable for people. A private tour in the Cotswolds is great. If you've got the luxury of a private tour, it's wonderful. But it can cost you anything upwards of £400 and the rest. If you're traveling on your own or just as a couple, that's quite a lot of money for some people. So we decided to do things a bit differently and sell individual tickets for our tour so you're buying a seat on the tour rather than buying the whole vehicle, renting the whole vehicle for the day. So our tours start from just £65 this year, which is obviously quite a lot different from £400 for a private tour. So yeah, we're very affordable for solo travellers. We absolutely welcome solo travellers. We welcome couples and small groups of friends or family for whom, they want to join a small group. It's a nice, fun and friendly way to get to know a few different people. Yeah, we create a really nice atmosphere.
Something catered for families. So is there a certain age from that you take on the tours?
So we don't allow children under 3, and that's more from a safety point of view. It is actually legal for children under 3 to sit on their parents' lap while they're travelling on a minibus. But we, as parents ourselves, we just felt quite uncomfortable with that. If, God forbid, if we had an accident and there was a child sat on a parent's lap, it just doesn't bear thinking about what might happen. So we made the decision not to allow children under 3, and it's not always a popular decision with some parents who want to bring their babies, but we felt that was the right thing to do. But anyone over the age of 3 is absolutely welcome on our tours. We have people from 3 to 103. I'm not sure what the oldest person is we've had. Definitely had some people in their 90s. So yeah, we cater for everyone. Yeah, it's a really lovely group. And because it's a mixed group, we get people from all over the world. It's really interesting to be part of that group. And our guides are brilliant at trying to bring everyone together. One thing that our guides always try to do, it's not always possible, but they always try to learn the names of all their passengers on a tour. And quite a lot of our TripAdvisor reviews mention this, and people really like it when you're referred to by your name and you get to know someone. It's sometimes difficult to remember some names, and especially if our guides are doing lots of tours. But that's one thing we try to do. Always try to make people feel welcome. Tom and I, when we started the company, we were solo travellers ourselves. So one thing that we always wanted to do was try and make a tour that was accessible for solo travellers. And I think originally Tom wanted to do a backpacker tour bus, but that kind of market wasn't there. So the dynamic, the sort of demographic is slightly different to what we imagined in the beginning of the company, but it's no less fun. It's really good atmosphere.
Well, I think it's great because it's accessible for everybody that can go on your tours, as long as they're age 3 and above, the fact they can come on your tours and enjoy the Cotswolds. That's brilliant. So Lisa, if people want to book with you, obviously I'm going to put a link to your website in the show notes for this episode, but it'd be good if you could share now your website, and also because you're offering a kind of exclusive discount as well to our listeners and our Facebook group as well, if you're a member of that. So if you want to share that would be really good.
Yeah, great. Our website is www.GoCotswold.co.uk. I'm going to spell that out because Cotswolds is notoriously spelled differently by different people. So it's GoCotswolds, Cotswolds, not Costwolds or Cotswolds or Cotswolds. There's lots of different spellings that come out of that. So GoCotswolds.co.uk is our website. And you can find all of our tours on there. We have a discount code for UK travel planning members or Facebook group members and listeners. So UK Trav Plan is the discount code, and that will get you 5% off.
Perfect. Well, I'm sure that everybody listening to this podcast now who was planning their trip to the UK will be going, yep, we need to do this. We need to go to the Cotswolds. We need to go out and go to Cotswolds and have some fun, which is clearly exploring such a beautiful area with such a friendly bunch of people. I mean, it's been great talking to you today, Lisa. And we've only met a couple of times to kind of chat about everything, but we get on so well. It's really cool. So I can't wait. Actually, I'll be over in the UK later on in the year, so hopefully we'll get a chance to meet up as well in person.
Yeah, that'd be great. We'd love to see you. Yeah.
But thanks so much for coming on. As I say, I will put a link to the company, GoCotswold, in the show notes. And I'll also repeat the code there so that you can go onto the website and get yourself that 5% discount as well. But for this episode, Lisa, it was absolutely fantastic talking to you. So thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Tracy. Nice to speak to you.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the UK Travel Planning Podcast. As always, show notes can be found at uktravelplanning.com. If you've enjoyed the show, why not leave us feedback via text or a review on your favourite podcast app? We love to hear from you, and you never know, you may receive a shout out in a future episode. But as always, that just leaves me to say, until next week, happy UK travel planning. Thank you.